Taylor studied himself in the mirror, wondering, not for the first time, if he looked good enough. His dark hair was cropped close to his head, and his blue eyes didn't give anything away, but his jaw could have been more defined. His friends always said he looked elfin, but that was before. Being short was a bit of an issue, and he had to remind himself that some guys preferred short dudes over towering giants. His muscles were more defined than they had been a few months ago, and his shoulders looked great. But he'd never be big, not like the other men at the gym where he worked out. He sighed, and his shoulders sagged. The words his mother said the last time she saw him echoed in his head. He knew he had made the right decision. She may not be able to accept the change, but he felt whole now, like he finally was who he was born to be. From what he saw when he looked in the mirror, and when the sexy gym junkies stared at him, he really thought he looked believable enough. Hopefully. Thoughts that he'd never be enough still plagued him, and he feared that no one would accept him for who he really was. But he was working hard to press past the issues and be happy. That's why he didn't date anymore. A few months after the first operation, the one that gave him the flat chest he had always known he was supposed to have, he'd met someone. At first, everything had been great, until his boyfriend had figured out the truth. The word stung. Freak had been at the top of the list. Then, his ex went on from there, saying that Taylor was too weird and damaged. The bastard had actually said he didn't deserve to live. Taylor couldn't live through that again. Not yet. Maybe in a few years, after the newness had worn off and his confidence had strengthened, he would be able to survive the taunts and threats. But not today. Taylor drew in a deep breath before walking out of the bathroom of the fast food joint toward the street exit. Like usual, he avoided eye contact as he left the restaurant and made his way down the street to Pleasure's Entertainment and Bookstore. His heart thumped wildly as he handed over the $5 entry fee and headed to the back. The store wasn't packed, but 4 guys and 2 girls were milling around, looking at products. A sexy bald man looked up, his piercing eyes drilling a hole straight through Taylor. His steps faltered, and he stalled, his feet refusing to move as the man stared at him. He wanted that guy. Not for long term, because long term wouldn't work, but a quick blow would feed his fantasies. The man was freaking hot. That he had no hair on top wasn't a problem. Even better, a tight beard clung to his sharp jaw, leaving Taylor wanting. The air in his lungs stilled, and he had to remind himself to breathe. If only a man like that could want him. But he usually didn't have the best of luck with built studs. The intensity from the sexy stranger poured off him like a waterfall, leaving Taylor wondering if he'd drown in the guy's allure. He shook off the need, breaking eye contact as he made his way back to the booths. This was his reality for now. He may have wanted to be in that sexy bear's arms, but he'd settle for a quick way to get off, sucking other guys, and pretending it was more. Taylor glanced over his shoulder one last time as he grabbed for the handle on the door. He was disappointed he couldn't see the guy he had eye-fucked. His insides twisted thinking about that stranger, who was one heck of a sexy bear. Had he chosen one of the rooms to the right, others would be able to see him. The rooms in the middle had video, with total privacy, but he chose a booth at the far end, equipped with a glory hole. Sucking dick let his fantasies take over, the ones where he pretended to be in a relationship with the man on the other side of the wall. He'd blow his lover, swallowing the sour sweet cum before spreading his lover's legs and possessing him. Of course, he'd need help for that. If only he could get a date with a man who didn't mind the need for a strap-on. After a few minutes, the door to the stall next to Taylor opened, then closed. He dropped to his knees as he heard the lock click. Excitement skittered through him as he placed his fingers on the edge of the hole. A shadow passed over Taylor's fingers, and he sighed. Masturbation worked most nights, but the sweet slide of a cock in his mouth helped the fantasy to become real